on, Jimmy. Chris, go.
Ladies and gentlemen, will you please welcome former Wimbledon finalist David Nalbandian. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please welcome the #1 Croatian and our #6 seed, Marin Cilic.
After a peculiar and disrupted week, relative calmness descends on the Queen's Club. Welcome to complete live coverage of the Aegon Championships final, featuring two survivors of the annihilation of seeds in this tournament, Marin Cilic and David Nalbandian. Well, it's been a week for the underdogs and those who have coped best with the rain delays more than anything else. Been absolute carnage amongst the seeds. Only 4 seeds were left going into the quarterfinals, and 9 of the 16 were knocked out in the first or second round. But these two have managed to pull through, and one of these two will end this afternoon with their first ever grass court title. Nalbandian, he's playing in his first grass court final since what he's most famed for, reaching the final of Wimbledon 10 years ago now. Leighton Hewitt, the man to see him off on that occasion. Well, I don't think that we can rival the Halle final in terms of shocks, and I'm sure many of you are just switching over from that. And good on Tommy Haase. It's a good story after all the injuries he's had to put up with and fight through.
Okay, gentlemen, everything's the same. Just remind you about the Hawkeye when you're challenging. Just do it quickly and clearly so I know what's happening, please. Anybody? Any questions? All right. Heads or tails? Heads, call. And you win. Okay, serving. Very good.
Perhaps a brave decision to serve first, given how much trouble they were having yesterday with the terrible wind they were having. I mean in the sky rather than in the bellies. But Cilic and Nalbandian complaining that it was difficult to control the ball once they threw it up for the ball toss. Indeed, in Nalbandian's match, there were 5 breaks of serve in the first set. Well, Nalbandian is currently at 39 in the world. He'll rise from that position, but a long way from his career high of 3. Attained in 2006. He's had a bit of a rough ride to get to this stage, given that he was only the 10th seed coming into this tournament. He didn't get a bye into the second round like his opponent, and so he had to overcome Vasek Pospisil instead, and actually lost his first set of the week, 4-6 to the Canadian. He's a big server, just like Cilic, so perhaps positive preparation for him in that sense. He managed to get through the qualifier Ruben Belmelman's a lot easier though, 4-2. Another 3-setter against Edouard Roger Vasselin on Friday. And then he had to play his quarter-final just a matter of hours later against Xavier Malisse, another 3-setter, coming from a set down in both as well. Before he coped better with the win yesterday, his experience shone through as he managed to bypass Grigor Dimitrov 6-4, 6-4. Well, 6,500 can fit in this centre court stadium at the Queen's Club, which is in its 126th year. And whoever wins today will be the first man from their country to lift this title. A lot of talk has gone on about the transition from clay to grass, as there always is every year. And Cilic saying that he's found it pretty comfortable. Though he was knocked out fairly early at Roland Garros in the third round. He's ousted by Juan Martín del Potro, his second defeat to the Argentine in a matter of weeks after his loss in Madrid. Whereas Nalbandian has had to come through 3-set affairs and a lot of arduous matches, Cilic has had a relatively comfortable route through. The number 6 seed, he got a bye into the second round. And likewise, no matter what happens today, he will climb higher than his current position of 25 in the world. A high of number 9. He's going for title number 7 altogether. His last one coming in October last year. Matthew Upton was his first opponent, only dropped the 3 games. Then in round 3 against Lucas Rasol, he was feeling a little bit fortunate that he managed to just about squeeze in the victory before the rain came down, or else he would have had to have played 2 games in the same day as well. Instead, his quarter-final came against Liu Yanxin, the man who knocked out the 3rd seed, Janko Tipsarevic, and who got lucky there. Although he had a bit of a slow start, he looked dismal in the opening couple of games. He turned it around to win 6-4, 2-love when Liu retired with a groin strain. And then it was that 3-set affair against Sam Querrey, his only 3-set match this week, where he really had to battle in the first set, saving 9 break points in 1 game. Coming 3-6-3 in the third. 30 years of age now, David Nalbandian. He's looking for title number 12. And the first one in a couple of years after he picked up the Washington title. But he's had his own injury problems to contend with. Not as bad as Tommy Haas, but not desirable at any rate. But he has fairly positive memories of the Queen's Club. He made the semis in 2008 when he beat Troitsky, Mahut and Gasquet before Djokovic got the better of him. That was when the Serb went on to lose to Nadal in the final, which is probably one of the least celebrated achievements in the game, when Nadal managed to win the Queen's title just after picking up the Roland Garros title and going on to win Wimbledon as well. A perfect summer for the Spaniard, who was knocked out by Philip Kohlschreiber this week in Halle. His only other appearance at the Queen's Club for Nalbandian was last year, when he made the 3rd round, losing to Badasco.
1 minute. Test. 1 minute.
So the head-to-head is pretty intriguing. That doesn't quite tell the whole story. Nalbandian winning 4 of their 5 meetings, because the one that Cilic won was the last time they encountered each other. That was in the Davis Cup quarter-final earlier this year. It was a 5-setter, and neither player would claim it was their greatest performance. There were plenty of unforced errors, and we can put that down to nerves, in that they were both playing for their country, and Cilic did exceptionally well to power through on the Buenos Aires clay in front of a partisan 14,000 strong crowd. But there can be few questions about the conditioning of Nalbandian, given that he managed to overcome that 5-set defeat mentally to win the doubles next day in 5 sets against Cilic. And it was Argentina who prevailed in that tie, which means they will be going through to the semi-finals, which will take place in September. And they'll be Czech Republic visiting the Argentine capital.
Cilic won the toss, and Cilic to serve.
Well, Cilic made his first final of the year, and his only other one to date, in Munich at the start of May, where he's beaten by the home favourite Philip Kohlschreiber 7-6, 6-3, despite holding set points in the first. It's the second time he's lost in the final there, after being defeated by Michal Juszny in 2010. And there's his coach, Bob Brett, who's been an ever-present this week. He doesn't travel to all of Cilic's tournaments, but he certainly made the effort this week, and it appears to have helped Cilic. Former coach of Goran Ivanisevic and Mario Ancic, Boris Becker for a while.
First set.
So it's Cilic against Nalbandian
Cilic to
for the
serve.
Queen's Club title of 2012. Adam Bates with you
Ready.
here for every shot. Here we go.
Play. Love 15.
And that's probably the reason why I was a little bit surprised that Cilic decided to serve first. It seems to be the way nowadays that most elect to receive, trying to capitalise on the nerves of their opponent. And I have to say, when they both stepped out of the clubhouse, they both looked pretty nervy. Body language, like Cilic was just holding his hands together by his fingertips. I don't know, it just gave off an air of tension. That's seemingly being exemplified here. Oof. That is a big slide. Fortunately, he slid straight onto his back. It wasn't a big clunk.
15 seconds.
That won't be the last time we'll see a slip today.
All.
Nalbandian got particularly irritated about the slippy surface in his match against Roger Vasselin on court 1. It partly led to him receiving a code violation and a points penalty for racket abuse and ball abuse. Well, it took him a couple of points to shake off those nerves, but he certainly found his range now. Well, Nalbandian so far returning fairly well. He got 3 breaks of serve in his first set yesterday. He's only 2 points away here from getting one in the opening game.
Advantage Nalbandian.
Well, perhaps Cilic couldn't quite shake off all those nerves. Several unforced errors, and already we do have a break point. Not quite an ace, but as good as. In his match against Cilic, he managed 6 altogether. Against Querry, I should say, in the semi-finals.
Advantage Nalbandian.
Yeah, shake of the head, because he knows this isn't the real Marin Cilic. him off. Just as Nalbandian does best. And Cilic will surely be regretting electing to serve first after winning the coin toss. It's Nalbandian who gets the immediate break. The longer this match goes on, the more it's likely to favour Marin Cilic. Given that Nalbandian's played nearly 9 hours of tennis this week, compared to just 5 that Cilic has spent on the court before today.
David Nalbandian to serve.
Well, is Nalbandian saving his best tennis until the weekend? He hadn't been playing it earlier on the week, but he'd been grinding out the results. Yesterday he was much more impressive despite the win. So often a foot fault can put a play off like that. Plenty of looks skyward. But this time it's not looking at the clouds, fortunately. The weather forecast is positive for today. Shabby start from Cilic.
Yeah, Nalbandian.
A comprehensive beginning to this match for the Argentine.
Nalbandian
well, Cilic had a similarly slow start against Liu in the quarter-finals. But then the man from Chinese Taipei was struggling with a groin injury. Nalbandian looks fully fit, perhaps a little fatigued, though he won't admit it. He emphasised yesterday after his semi-final against Dimitrov that he's feeling great, despite playing 3 matches in 2 days.
Love 15.
They've been together for 8 years now. There's a coach-player duo. Bob Brett and Marin Cilic. He's a little bit fortunate there, Cilic. Nalbandian had a lot of court to aim for then. Fine return. Cilic isn't going to like anything that's low down at his feet, especially with that much power. He's looking ever so stiff. Minimal movement. 2 break points for Nalbandian. Arriba, says David Nalbandian. Get it higher.
30-40.
As is always going to be the case with Marin Cilic, he's got a good chance of stealing himself out of trouble with his big serves. Saved him in the 3rd game against Querry yesterday.
Advantage, Cilic.
It was 9 break points in game 3 of the match against the world number 77 American. Fergus Murphy in the chair today. It's a key hole from Marin Cilic, and that should finally settle the nerves. Nalbandian had his chances in that game, a couple of break points. Cilic has now arrived. Well, not only did they meet in the Davis Cup earlier this year, but also a little bit earlier. In a Masters event, no less. It was Nalbandian who came out on top, and just like he did in the previous 3 matches. It is just a little bit strange how Cilic has come out looking so nervy. Maybe he's had a look up at the Roll of Honour. Seen some of the names. Boris Becker, a 4-time winner here. Pete Sampras. Andy Murray, Rafael Nadal, Roddick.
Take your seats quickly, please, ladies and gentlemen.
Roddick,
Seats,
Hewitt,
please.
Becker and McEnroe have all won
Time.
4 titles at this event. Connors the 3. Lendl, Sampras and Murray 2. Is it going to be Cilic or Nalbandian, number 1? plenty of fluency in his ground stroke so far. He doesn't have one overwhelming weakness, just difficult to break down. Great reaction to that forehand from Cilic by Nalbandian. He can't push his luck too much though, letting them sit up like that. Perhaps only Del Potro and Burdick and Songa have got a bigger forehand when it's truly working. He does love that swinging serve out wide from a high ball toss. First double of the match. He didn't serve down any yesterday. The most underused shots in the game, the approach shot down the middle.
40-30.
It's got a greater chance of coming off if you've got the wingspan of 6'6" Cilic. Didn't need to use that wingspan there though. Nalbandian trying to execute some typical grass court tennis, but he's allowed Cilic back into this game.
Advantage, Nalbandian.
I think that's what you'd call a positive error. Does send a message to Nalbandian that he's willing to unleash that forehand at any opportunity.
Straight up from me. Anybody? The gentleman okay?
Slightly worrying stoppage. Silence around the Queen's Club as we hope that he's all okay. A very similar thing happened earlier this year in the US hardcourt campaign, when Mohamed Liani had to halt proceedings.
Thank you very much. Advantage, Nalbandian.
Everything was okay. And well spotted by Fergus Murphy as well. Tested to a small extent, but Nalbandian passes it.
Nalbandian leads 3-1.
Talking about his serve, just the wonderful fault so far. He delivered 14 against Roger Vasselin. And very fortunate to come through considering that. He was on the brink of defeat. He was a set and a break down to the man who conquered Andy Roddick. Great feel again. That's how he was successful against Dimitrov on numerous occasions yesterday. Now it's Cilic feeling the effects of it. I told you that Nalbandian slip wouldn't be the last today. That one looking a little more clumsy. It's a long way to tumble. The most worrying one of the week was Jo-Wilfried Tsonga in his defeat to Ivan Dodig. Towards the end of the final set, he seemed to bend his finger the wrong way. He's twisted it, and is a bit of a concern for Wimbledon.
That is 15. Nalbandian challenging the pole, left near sideline.
Well, the umpire seemed to be so surprised that he was a bit slow in accepting the challenge. Nalbandian making sure he does it pretty quickly.
All stands. 30-15.
There's just a hint of a smile on his own face. Crazy stuff. Doesn't have the best of luck with the challenge system. He was fined $8,000 at the Australian Open. Well played. Yes, he was fined $8,000 for unsportsmanlike conduct because he blew his gasket at the fact that the umpire Cardanouni wouldn't let him challenge a call because he'd taken so long. Time, I think he probably could have done with a moment or two to consider what he was thinking. No doubt we've got a contest on our hands now. Just the one break. Nalbandian won't be fully confident, though, that that will be sufficient in this opening set. Had big trouble with injuries so far in 2012, Cilic. He missed the start of the year, including the Australian Open, with a patella tendon injury. That's his knee. But he says actually that the injury might have been a good thing for him because it allowed him to assess what made him progress before so he could continue in that way. And how much he's progressed since has actually been pretty impressive, given he's already made 2 finals now. And that was after, I say, he missed the start of the year and even played a challenger in Dallas at one point just to try and get some victories under his belt. And he lost in the quarterfinals of that challenger. But look at him now. Still not quite making that forehand, but it'll come, and when it does, it could prove pretty devastating. Great angle. A wonderful get. It's appreciated by Nalbandian as well. Such a narrow margin for error. Gets down well. Nalbandian left plenty of the court exposed there, and Cilic lets him pay for it. That's sometimes the problem with Nalbandian's game. He does like to go for corner, from corner to corner. But if Cilic is ready and waiting for it, he's got plenty of court to aim for. And now he's got a break back point. At 3-all. Made him go for the unlikely lob. And we're all square. An excellent return game from the Croat. No sign of those early nerves now. Taken nearly half an hour for the first 6 games. Just ace number 2. Well, now that Cilic is getting more balls back into court, now Nalbandian feeling as if he has to go for more. Well, now he's only 2 aces short of reaching his tally from the whole of yesterday. Let's factor in the win for that. Cilic takes the lead then, having been 3-1 behind. Now I just wonder how much that Davis Cup encounter is going to be playing on the mind. Both of them, but it was Nalbandian who would have been more psychologically affected by it. As we say good afternoon to Mark Foster, the world champion swimmer. They do tend to invite illustrious guests along to this event. Last year, Boris Becker was amongst them. Just going back to that Davis Cup tie, it was a marathon match. And it gave Croatia the opening rubber at that tie. And it was another 5-hour epic the following day. And Cilic lost the doubles to Nalbandian alongside Ivo Karlovic. But as a result of being so drained of energy, he could only win a total of 4 games, Cilic, against El Potro in the decisive 4th rubber. Croatia going down 4-1 altogether. So they'll have to wait for their first title since 2005. That's when the now retired Ivan Ljubicic carried them all the way.
Love 50.
Nalbandian's now a little bit irritated with himself as much as anything. Errors have suddenly crept into his game. Ever since he was 3-1 ahead. enticing rally. It's an important moment in this opening set too. Both of them switching from defence to attack. Great depth on the backhand from Nalbandian to get Cilic stretching again. And at this stage, it's a must-hold game. That's exactly what he does. Maintain the intrigue in this first set as we edge into the juiciest part of it. He's up to 5. Nalbandian's going to challenge, but I think Cilic deserves to win that. Given the effort, chasing it down. Plenty of pace from the big man. And he did just catch a slither of the line.
30-15, Nalbandian has one challenge remaining.
There we go. It had been coming for the past 39 minutes.
40-50.
That one sitting up high and well inside the baseline. And he devours it. You can hit them faster than that though. His service game is solidifying more and more as time goes by. It's going to be a big ask for Nalbandian to turn this around now. He's 4-5 behind, but on serve. It was a similarly tight affair in last year's final between Andy Murray and Jo-Wilfried Tsonga. It was the Frenchman who took the first set as well. And Murray went on to win it, not actually getting a break until the final set. Cilic has already won one and conceded one so far. Well, he admitted that yesterday's semi-final against Querry was a poor match from his perspective, struggling to control the serve. He's enjoying it today though. At least he is after those first couple of games.
Time.
Graham Kimpton there. We don't want to be seeing too much of him because he's the man who decides if the covers are going to be coming on. And with Bob Brett's man, perhaps with momentum now, you wouldn't want any stoppages, but none are on the way, don't worry. It's David Nalbandian serving to stay in the first set.
Left, first turn.
That's an error reminiscent of the first two games from Cilic.
Yeah,
decent pressing that time from Nalbandian. It was a little less risky heading to the nets than before. And conversely to Cilic at the start of the set, Nalbandian not feeling the tension, trying to serve to stay in the set. And instead he holds to love. And lays down a marker to Cilic.
5 games all.
Nalbandian, first of all, will be pleased that he's not going to lose the set 6-4 like he has done in the first set of 3 of his matches already this week.
In
Nalbandian's other 2 matches, he's won the first set 6-4. Vintage Nalbandian.
15 all.
He's the cross-court king. One would expect that he'd be a little more reserved than previously, now that he's on the centre court stage in the final, rather than when he was thrashing balls about and breaking his racket against Roger Vasselin.
detailing.
Cilic guilty of just letting it drop a little bit short. Few players on the tour play the angled backhand better than Nalbandian.
Yeah, Cilic.
But again,
6 games to 5.
Nalbandian has to be patient because the serve is what gets Cilic out of a little bit of trouble again. The Croat guarantees at worst it will be a tiebreak for him. He's very popular in India, Cilic, especially with the ladies. He's got his own fan group over there. Though I dare say many around the centre court today won't have heard of him before this week. He's best known for losing to the home favourite, though, Andy Murray, in the semi-finals of the Australian Open. An excellent achievement, and shortly after that he reached the top 10, and indeed his career high ranking of number 9.
Time.
Completely cut away that camera shot there. Just having Nalbandian support camp. And you might need their support now. Pressure at the highest it has been in this first set. He's serving to stay in it for a second time.
15 love.
There's a challenge there, yep.
Right baseline.
Nalbandian's not completely sure. Oh, and that's why.
Replay the point.
There's been a couple of those these last few days.
15 love. $30 love.
To no avail. Well, this has been a bit of a disappointing return game from Cilic. Going through the motions, heading towards the tie-break.
Again, Nalbandian.
Second love service hold in succession. Both times he was serving to stay in
6
the
games
set.
all.
Impressive from the 30-year-old.
Both players receive 1 additional challenge.
Both players have played tie breaks this week. Just the one each. They both won them. Nalbandian's was against Malise on Friday in the quarter-final, which kept him in the match in the second set. Ace number 6.
Cilic.
His tie-break victory came against Lucas Rosol in the third round. He came from a breakdown in that first set. Nalbandian's record, though, this year is much better than Cilic's. 7 wins to 2 defeats in tiebreaks. Mixing it up well as well.
1-1.
Yes, better than Cilic, because Cilic actually has a losing record in tiebreaks in 2012 on the main tour. He's won 6 and lost 7.
Two, 1. Nalbandian.
Points in a row now on serve for Nalbandian. Doesn't bode well for the big man.
Nalbandian.
Considering that alarming stat as far as Cilic is concerned, that was the worst time to send down your first double fault. Behind on that point, because when Nalbandian returned it to his baseline, he seemed to position himself directly behind the ball. It looked awkward. Nalbandian then has 2 mini breaks commandingly. Surely no way back from here in this tiebreak.
Nalbandian.
Aggravation etched all over the face of the world number 25. So far this week, he's only dropped 1 set, and that was yesterday in the semi-final. He's 2 points away from dropping another. But there is some hope.
5-2.
Delivered by Nalbandian. Cilic still perilously close to danger. At least he has one of the mini breaks back.
Five straight. Nalbandian.
And if Cilic holds with this point here again, this could make it very interesting. Terrific return. Just not enough pace on the serve out wide. Nalbandian spotted it coming early. He gets the mini break again, which leaves him with 3 set points. It's a fortunate way to win it. The Nalbandian's experience once more coming to the fore to take him through the tie-break, having relinquished a break of serve earlier on in the set. It is the Argentine who is halfway through to lifting his first Queen's Club title. Well, 3 times already this week Nalbandian has dropped a set. It's just the 3rd time in his 6 matches that he's managed to win the first set. And what should worry Cilic is how Nalbandian has been far more effective on the first serve than the Croat has. Nalbandian has dropped just 4 points after getting the first serve in, whereas Cilic is down to around 64% in that regard. The clouds don't look too clever in that direction. We needn't worry. That's the direction the weather's going to, rather than coming from. It has been a really difficult week for the tournament organisers. Monday was a complete washout. And it almost feels even miraculous that we're on schedule, given that on Friday the forecast looked dismal.
Take your seats quickly, please, ladies and gentlemen.
It initially said there was going to be rain from around 2 o'clock for the rest of the day, but it turned out to be quite the opposite. So Nalbandian was able to fit his 2 matches in that he needed to in the 3rd round and quarter-final. And his camp, it's all smiles.
Second set.
Without a permanent full-time coach at the moment, after splitting with Luis Lobo at the end of July last year. He's the former coach of Carlos Moya and Juan Monaco.
15 love.
What a delightful angle that was.
30 love.
Needless to say, the confidence is going to grow. Ooh.
30-15.
Nalbandian always has to try and win the battle with his own temperament at times, though. And there it is. The forehand working at full power now. He's found the accuracy.
30 all.
Positive indications, therefore, that he's going to make a real fist of it in the second set. For the neutrals, that is, not if you're a Nalbandian fan. Of which there are many, many, many around the world. He's got several fan groups on the internet. Where have these errors suddenly come from? Cilic this time with the chance to get the immediate break at the start of the set in contrasting fashion to the opening set. And he spotted that serve coming out wide, just as Nalbandian did in the tie-break. And that makes this match a whole lot more curious. Cilic managed to brush off the disappointment of losing that tie-break and finds the very rapid break. Let's see if these lot can settle down to their pims and their snacks for a little while longer yet. Well, it's Bob Brett that took Cilic under his wing when Cilic was only 14, 15 years of age. That's when Cilic decided to relocate to San Remo on the France-Italy border, which is a gorgeous location. Just have a look at the pictures of Bob Brett's academy there. And it was on the advice of his mentor Goran Ivanisevic that he was to be looked at by Bob Brett. And he sparred with Ivanisevic on plenty of occasions. Yeah, Nalbandian could get Cilic moving a little more. He isn't the quickest around the court, though. He's done pretty well today. In an interview before, actually, Cilic had joked that if he were to be able to choose one superpower, it would be to move fast around the court. And you can see what he means. Great depth from Nalbandian. Cilic struggles with the little adjustments with his feet. Just like there. Needed to take a quick step back, but just a fraction too slow. Missing with that forehand now.
40-30.
At the start of this second set, it's proving the difference.
Yeah, Cilic. Cilic leads 2 games to love.
He's looking very much in the mood now. After not being able to even win a point on Nalbandian's serve at the end of the first set, he'll feel rather refreshed that he already has the 2-game advantage.
Love. Love.
Be too despondent yet. He was love 30 down in the opening game of this set.
Play left.
No.
Play the point. Ball.
Ball let loose. Yep, he has no choice.
49.
Fortunately for everybody concerned, it doesn't come at a crucial moment, it seems.
Out. Okay, Nalbandian.
Well, looks as if David Nalbandian's got himself back to his former self on serve.
Cilic leads 2-1. New balls played.
Intriguing how they've both had, if he starts to each set, just taking it in turns. Starting to cloud over a little bit around the Hammersmith area of London, in the west. When I was walking in this morning, it was just such a relief to look up at the sky and see the sun. Still not very warm though. Temperatures around the mid to late teens in Celsius.
Take your seats quickly, please.
But the tournament
Ladies and
director
gentlemen,
this week,
seats
Mr. Mode,
please.
has done a decent job in
Time.
steering this tournament ship through choppy waters, quite literally. As has the groundsman Graham Kimpton, who's been made to work exceptionally hard. If you've got eagle eyes, you'll be able to see in the distance there Wembley Stadium, where the England national football team play their home fixtures. And Cilic is a big football fan. He'll be on the edge of his seat, anticipating tomorrow's match against the defending champions in the European Championship, Spain. Progression from their group is in their hands. No doubt he'll be finding a TV somewhere in London.
All.
Nalbandian taking all the pace out of it there and triggering the error from Cilic.
And
I wonder if that was in his mind still, that previous error.
All. The
point then to stretch the advantage to 2 games again.
Cilic.
Another slight slip. Moments of concern for Nalbandian, but he's okay.
Cilic leads 3 games to 1.
Apart from the fact that he hasn't managed to break. He's had so many injuries recently that he doesn't want to be risking anything like that.
15 love.
He tore a muscle in his left leg before. Missing most, if not whole, of the spring last year. He had to have surgery on that left leg and a hernia. Missing a whole host of big tournaments. Just came at him a little bit quicker and deeper than he anticipated.
Thirty 15. Now
right. Second love of the day, neither have come off.
Cilic leads
close.
3 games to 2.
2-3 second set. Means that Nalbandian, although he's a break down, he's still probably the marginal favourite at the moment to win his first ever grass court title. He played his third semi-final of the year yesterday after the clay events in Belgrade and Buenos Aires. And it comes after there were questions of his mental strength and belief before the start of this year. But he ridiculed that by making a run to the quarterfinals of the Indian Wells Masters. Played superbly that week. Knocked out Tipsarevic and Tsonga. And also somebody called Marin Cilic. Before Rafael Nadal stopped him in 3 sets.
Time.
Although he doesn't have a coach in the old sense of the word, he is still working with Mariano Seara and Claudio Galasso, his fitness trainers there. Trying to get a smile. There we go. Wonderful. Point of the day. Puffing and panting, and it comes to zilch for Cilic. Not the greatest chop shot in the world from Nalbandian. A little fortunate perhaps to get away with it. But he executed that lob to perfection. An opening here for Nalbandian now.
Time. 15 seconds.
Few gasps around the place. This is another one of those iffy service games from Cilic. He's in a bit of a pickle. 2 break points down. Oh. Oh, he's done it. It'll be the most gratifying point of the lot for Nalbandian. Doing a bit of a Nadal from Roland Garros, winning a point after being on his backside. Not a convincing game from Cilic, but just Nalbandian making it frantic. And that will suit him a whole lot more than his opponent. He's got the break back. He's just 3 games away from winning the match and the title.
Love 15.
But with his serve and his forehand, you can never count him out.
Love 30.
The crowd around this centre court becoming more engrossed than at any other point, with great reason as well. It's clearly now a mental battle as much as a physical one. Great disguise on that backhand. What a rebound this is from Cilic after losing his own serve.
Love 40.
Nalbandian taking it out on the racket, like he did in his 3rd round match. Well, from having played one of his sloppiest service games, this is his best return game so far. He had an opportunity there, stepping well inside the baseline. He lets Nalbandian off the hook, temporarily at least. But he can rest assured that Nalbandian has something, or doesn't have something, that Cilic does, and that's the big serve to get him out of trouble. Oh, and he's kicked the lines judge in the shin there. In complete frustration. I think he went to kick the advertisement around his chair, and he's made him bleed.
Supervisor to the board.
This could mean big trouble for the former world number 3, and will help put things into perspective for him. Said before, he has to battle against his own temperament. What on earth was he thinking there? Just moments of madness sometimes from Nalbandian. He must have thought, it's his only defence, that that was a permanent, stable structure, that it wouldn't cave in when he aims a kick at it. What a nasty moment. Cilic has just got to try and keep his head. How will Nalbandian possibly keep his? Now, are we going to have a change of lines judge here? Tom Barnes, the tournament referee, in attendance there on the left. Immediately Fergus Murphy called for the supervisor. Nalbandian offering his apologies, and they're going to have to buy him a pint after that as well. So what has Tom Barnes got to say? If he hobbles, it's just superficial damage.
Ladies and gentlemen, code violation from sportsmanlike conduct, default, Mr. Nalbandian. Cilic
It is the most horrible way for this final to end. The most unsatisfactory way for it to end. For Marin Cilic as much as anybody. It's cruel on Cilic, the lines judge and the crowd, but there can be few complaints from David Nalbandian. It's a shameful way for his tournament to end, one that was looking so positive. He was a set-up on his way to winning his first grass court title, but you can see that the gravity of the situation is starting to catch up with the former Wimbledon finalist. Marin Cilic barely knows how to react. Tournament referee Tom Barnes on the left. The media manager David Law on the right. How on earth does he put positive spin on this? Just disgruntlement all round for the supporters. 6,500 turning up to watch a final that few would have expected, but nobody anticipated this conclusion. He's had some pretty glorious days in tennis, David Nalbandian, winning a couple of Masters titles in succession, winning the Tennis Masters Cup in 2005, reaching the semis of all 4 majors. But this contrasts hugely with those achievements. It will surely be the day of Nalbandian's career that he will regret the most. Chris Commode, who's had to deal with an awful lot this year with his tournament, given the absence of Rafael Nadal and Novak Djokovic. He has got an exceptionally good rapport with the players, though, by all accounts. There's so little he can say to Nalbandian to make this situation any better. Undoubtedly, the press conference is going to be rather interesting. How can he defend himself after that? What on earth was going through his mind? Brainless. What the boos sound like, they're not going to change things. There'll be a fine coming Nalbandian's way as well. I just have to wonder what the discussion is here going on between Tom Barnes and Chris Commode. The umpire has already announced that the match has been defaulted because of the stupidity of Nalbandian. I'm sure they can't reverse the decision. Now it's surely just a question of, do they get the trophy ceremony underway rather rapidly, or is the moment too sensitive for that? Few people are going home. The majority of them startled by what we've just witnessed. And it is such a shame for Nalbandian to have his image tarnished like this. He's got so many thousands of fans around the world, and he's let them down. Can be no excuse for that action either. In a match that was just hotting up, and clearly Nalbandian took it out in the wrong way. He just managed to get the break back to level up the second set. 3 games away from victory, and he throws it away in the most dramatic and shameful fashion. Well, it looks as if we are going to get the ceremony underway, but let's just take a moment to acknowledge the success, therefore, if we can call it that, for Marin Cilic. It's his first grass court title, his first since St. Petersburg in last October, and his 7th title overall. Nalbandian was going for number 12. He was the much more experienced of the two, not that it showed. Thing is, they'll walk away from this with a cheque for $57,000. Barely seems deserving now. You won't be able to sleep tonight. Cilic then becomes the first man from Croatia to win this title. But on a day when the headlines should have been about Tommy Haas's achievements, his victory over Roger Federer in Halle, at the age of 34 after all his injury problems. And perhaps for Nalbandian as well, making it 2 men in their 30s to lift titles on the same day. All the focus will be on the Queen's Club for the wrong reasons. And it is so unfortunate for the tournament organisers, who have had to endure a lot of troubles this week and in the months building up to the tournament. But given how the seeds were dropping like flies, they just needed a positive end to this week. Andy Murray ousted by Mahut at the first hurdle. Tsonga knocked out by Dodig. Tipsarevic beaten by Liu. Gilles Simon, he was knocked out at the first hurdle as well. The 2 seeds somehow survived all that carnage to make the final, and it is the number 6 seed that will be lifting the trophy. Well, last year we had to wait an extra 24 hours for the trophy ceremony because of the rain. At the moment, we're having a pause for everybody to try and take stock and for the emotions to die down a little. But the last time we saw Tom Barnes come onto the centre court at the Queen's Club in a dramatic fashion, nowhere near as eventful as this, it was because Andy Murray was biting at him, because Mardy Fish was his opponent that day, and darkness descended, and Fish, according to Murray, rather unilaterally decided that it was to be the end of play. Tom Barnes agreed with the American, but Murray wanted to have his way. He felt as if he wanted to continue. He was in the ascendancy, wanted to wrap up the victory. I'm sure Tom Barnes would have rather have dealt with a situation like this, like that, than this one. Nalbandian perhaps arguing to not have sponsors around the Lions judge's legs. Just a moment of complete madness. Naughty Nalbandian. Dastardly David. The headlines will begin to write themselves. Well, he was already disciplined earlier in the tournament. As I mentioned, in the third round against Edouard Roger-Vasselin, he lost his nerve. He set in a breakdown at one stage, and he was given a code violation and then a point penalty for racket abuse and ball abuse. Now it's lines judge abuse, and that meant he couldn't continue. We'll just have to wait and see if there'll be any more sanctions against him that the ATP will hand down after the match. And the two letting them know what they feel about it. But what can be done? The debates will rage on long after this match as to the exact consequences and the way it's been handled. It was just no surprise, and Tom Barnes and Chris Commode will have felt there was just no other option but to default the match in Cilic's favour. Well, we'll hang on for the trophy ceremony if it at all occurs. We wouldn't have naturally been expecting for it to happen so soon.
Panel underneath the line judge. Panel went flying into his leg. Cut his leg. Is actually quite seriously injured.
Chris Commode, the tournament director.
And you know, the ATP have enforced us to end the final with a code violation.
Does David understand that?
He's struggling to come to terms with it, to be honest.
I mean, just hearing some of the comments here, you have some very angry people here in the stands.
Yeah, I mean, you know, here it is, you can see we're sold out crowd, it's packed, watching some great tennis, and so to have the match ending this way is incredibly disappointing. But, you know, in sport, these things happen, and there's not a lot we can do about it. We're under the governance of ATP rules, and that's how it stands.
And you say he's sort of seriously injured, but how is he, the official?
Well, he's been taken up to the medical centre, so I haven't personally had a chance to go and see how he's doing, but you know, hopefully he's going to be okay. And you know, David's feeling terrible, and you know, about what he did and how it happened. It was a pure accident, but
as you say, the rules are the rules, and there is no question unsportsmanlike conduct, and it is a default. That is the rule.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the trouble is you get a situation like this where there's this great crowd and great final, and you'd like to think you can bend it, but I can see from their point of view it's difficult, because you allow a precedent here, and then in a first round match somewhere on an outside court the same thing happens, and you start you know, sort of changing the rules. You have to be very clear.
Are you actually going to have a presentation? I mean, what's happening?
Yes, we will do. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure you're being tugged in every direction. You've got a lot of questions to answer elsewhere. So, Chris, thanks for coming and talking to us and telling us all about it.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Chris Commode talking to the former Grand Slam winner Sue Barker there. saying that his hands are tied. So very good of him to speak to the media after what's just happened. I'm sure he wanted to do the opposite though, run away and hide from all the commotion that's going to surround what's just happened. Well, there it is, the trophy that should signify a moment of glory. It's going to be exceptionally intriguing to see what kind of reaction David Nalbandian gets when he takes his runners-up trophy. He could have climbed 10 places in the world rankings to 29 if he'd won. He'll remain outside the top 30 though. But interesting there to listen to Chris Commode, the tournament director, and hear him saying that he was struggling to come to terms with the match ending because of his actions. That's what he appeared to suggest, and it's impossible to see what kind of argument Nalbandian can have after he's done such a thing. Maybe he just needs to have time to think about it, but here we go then. It's been an exceptionally long time since we heard such a noise at a British tennis tournament. Almost everybody has waited around.
This is not the way we wanted this to end. Ladies and gentlemen,
it's most un-British for this kind of commotion. It just demonstrates the depth of feeling, the bitter disappointment of what everyone's just seen.
Please. Your appreciation for David Nalbandian.
Oof. I'm not sure if that was the right phrase to use. Appreciation for
and for our 2012 Aegon champion, Marin Cilic.
Meekly accepts the applause.
The trophy will be presented by Chris Commode, Tournament Director of the Aegon Championships.
Well, it's so harsh for supporters to boo Chris Commode. He had so little other option. It's the moment that Cilic was waiting for, lifting the trophy, but not in the circumstances. He is the first Croatian to win the Queen's Club title. It's Marin Cilic, the winner of the Aegon Championships 2012, in a final that will never be forgotten for the wrong reasons. It's his first grass court title and his 7th overall. It's the first time somebody outside of Australia, Germany, the USA, Spain and Britain has won this event since 1992, and South Africa's Wayne Ferreira was victorious. Now, he will now speak to the former British #1, Sue Barker.
Well, Marin, congratulations for winning the trophy, but not the way you would have wanted to win it.
Yeah, definitely not, you know. Well, definitely not the way I wanted to win it. You know, it's very bitter. The match was still open. David one set up, I'm breaking the second. So, you know, but it is like that. I can't, you know, change it. So, really sorry for the guys that it had to end like this.
I'm sure, Marin, you can understand how disappointed all the fans are here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, to end like this, not easy, and I think match was getting hot, and it was we had some good rallies. So you know, it's tough to see it make it that the final finishes like this. But you know, it's the way it is. Sorry.
But obviously, I mean, you've been playing brilliant tennis as well, with Wimbledon not far away, so it's been a great week for you.
Yeah, definitely. A very good week, and played some good tennis, and now going to the Wimbledon with really good form. Try to play well there, and I don't think it could have been any better preparation for it.
It's great to see you back at your best. Ladies and gentlemen, Marin Cilic.
You could see that he was a little bit emotional there. It was supposed to be his moment, but he's had it taken away from him. But there is the appreciation from the man who has, by far, the moral high ground in this situation. A player of great integrity. He'll muster a smile for the cameras. He certainly shan't. Well, thank you for enjoying, if that's the right word, what you've witnessed this afternoon. The Queen's Club champion is Marin Cilic, but the headlines are all about David Nalbandian. Now, is he going to have a word as well with Subaka? If so, then we'll hang on for this. It looks as if he's finally accepting the situation. Now he's had plenty of moments to mull it over. Let's hear what he has to say to Subaka.
David, what do you want to say?
Yeah, first of all, I'm very sorry. Very sorry to do that, but sometimes you get very, very frustrated here on court, and it's tough to control that. And sometimes I do a mistake. I agree with that. So it's very tough moment to end a final like that. But sometimes we feel so much pressure from the ATP, trying to play a lot of tournaments. Try to play in a... No. Here this one. In a wet condition, an ATP doesn't do anything to us. And today that I do a mistake, I just have to play like that. And sometimes I disagree with that. And I agree that I do a mistake, but sometimes everybody do mistakes, and I didn't feel that had to end like that, especially on a final. I'm very sorry.
Controversial comments.
But you do understand it has happened before, and when when someone gets injured, the rule is default.
Yeah, but there is a lot of rules, and sometimes that didn't do anything.
But anyway, it's not the way you would have wanted it to end, is it?
The rule book is very big, and I can tell you that ATP do a lot of mistakes to the players, and nothing happened. So that's what players disagree to the ATP.
So you feel you've been allowed to play on? You feel you should have been allowed to play on?
No, I don't know.
Well, anyway, we appreciate you coming and apologising to the people as well. Ladies and gentlemen, David Nalbandian.
Well, the ATP will have a lot to say about his comments, and it's also clear what the majority, seemingly, of the crowd thought about that ending. They wanted Nalbandian to continue despite his actions. A little surprised, I have to say. Well, this will rumble on for a long time. I'm sure you'll have your own opinion. We'll have to wait and see how it pans out. Let's just hope he's a more tranquil man when Wimbledon comes around. Just a matter of days away now. That's the next big one to look forward to. But before that, it's Eastbourne and Sir Toggenbosch. So I hope you'll look forward and enjoy those over the coming days. Well, what a curtailed situation we have here. But I hope in a way that you have enjoyed it. It's certainly been dramatic, and it's been a privilege to bring it to you. From me, Adam Bates, goodbye.